and welcome everybody to the second episode of the Moon Knight Spoilercast. As always, I am Mitch. You can follow me on Twitter at 692 tweets, and
you can join me on Instagram at Marvin the Martian _12. And I apologize ahead of time for sounding like a zombie. So
people are going to be like, "But Tristan, you always sound like a zombie." It's just like,
yes. He's got more energy than I do at this point today, so
well, that's something. That's something. But
he does sound like tired all the time. So.
In fairness to him, it is like silly o'clock in the morning for him in California when we record. So I can't blame him. Yeah, we're both in the same boat of being tired, vastly different reasons. One deserves sympathy, the other one doesn't. But yeah,
Armin's the only one, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, usually it's a decent time. Like, right now it's what 5:30 in the afternoon, so it's not a bad time. For Armin, it's just gone midday, so we're fine. It's just the Californians get the rough end.
Us Californians.
Yeah, I can't call you New York anymore. So.
I'm a New Yorker at heart, but yes, always. But
so yeah, my entire prequel theory lasted a whole week. A whole week, because the tiniest Easter egg that I think I've ever seen, that it only came out a year ago, but I think everyone forgot, and it's, if you ain't paying attention, you will miss it. And that is the GRC from Falcon and Winter Soldier. Is on the side of a bus, and I'm like, oh goddamn, there goes my prequel theory. Yeah. Should have listened to Disney Plus in their chronological order time. Like, I should have listened. I had no reason to believe. I found it really hard to believe it took place after like Hawkeye No Way Home. I was like, no, there's no way. They're hiding something. They're hiding something. If he can forget days, he can forget years. It's got to be a case like that.
I mean, to be fair, it was a great theory. It's probably the best theory I heard.
I really liked it. Hey, I've got plenty of others. So,
but yeah, I mean, yeah, you were wrong at that. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wrong 80% of the time anyway. So 20%
I mean,
victories are small and appreciated when I get them right.
Yeah, but you have some really interesting. You have probably more interesting, well thought theories than most of the people I hear. So
because I overthink absolutely bloody everything.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, like, I mean, last time when I was listening to you here talking to you, I was just like, I'm thinking to myself, that's an interesting theory. That's an interesting one. I don't want to have to burst this bubble.
Yeah. I'm cheap, Feige, if you're listening.
You have good ideas. I'll give you that.
I can't write worth a damn, but I can give you an idea, so I'm cheap.
Idea mans are great. Writing is for writers.
Exactly. But I genuinely thought this episode was not far better than the first one. But I think, the first episode is a first episode, you either have a choice of you explain everything or you throw people in the deep end. And the first one definitely threw everyone in the deep end. And this one's more like a, hey, here's what's going on situation.
I mean, at the very least, they did give you the superhero costume at the end of the first episode versus.
It's true, and I really appreciated the break in. We're gonna hold off until the end.
Yeah, and to their credit, they did it again on the second episode. So it's not.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, it's very, very.
They're not hiding it much when it comes to that, but
very true. I outright adore, and I'm going to say, use that word very heavily. It's not lightly. I adore the fact that we have not only the origin story of Moon Knight, we also have the experience Moon Knight all in one show at the exact same time. I honestly don't know a better way of how you could have handled this character than exactly how they're doing it right now.
Yeah, I think it would have been a little bit of weird if he was the Mark Spector persona was inexperienced already.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like I feel like that's the Stephen Grant persona's part in it, where that's the benefit of having, like, I guess, multiple personalities, is like, you can kind of experiment with like that type of stuff, like where and I mean I absolutely loved it when I first heard that, like, he was the Mark Spector persona was going to be more uh experienced in like the fighting, and like there wasn't like this learning curve, it, you know because it's
And it
different,
also looks like we're not going to waste time on actually getting that learning curve. It's like, no, you're getting it with Stephen Grant as Mr.
yeah
There's no need to, double or triple down on it, as the case is probably going to be, judged if I'm right about this show, which I'm probably not. So, what's the point in having two origins at the same time? You just have the one, and you can have you literally have your cake and eat it with the show.
I was gonna say that exactly. Like it's like you're having your cake and eat it too. Like you're getting what you want, and then also you're kind of getting something new. Like, I don't know. That's what I loved about the characters. It's like there's so many things you can experiment with and make, do different things with it. Like, and like this is a prime example of that.
But I do find it funny, and I don't mean to bring up people's reaction to this show, because it honestly bores me to tears when people complain about literally everything. But there's a lot. I say a lot of. I've literally seen nothing about it apart from people reacting to it. But people aren't happy apparently with Mr. Knight and the portrayal of it. And all I can think of is there's not been a word, not a single word, on Stephen Grant not being a rich, like, Tony Stark style character.
I mean,
because Stephen Grant in the comics is the one that has all that is funding the operation, basically.
Yeah.
Not a word on that not being a thing. But Mr. Knight is a little goof, because it's the first time he's ever been like a superhero, and people are like writing the whole stuff. I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah,
I just don't get it.
I heard the people saying, "Oh, they ruined the character." That's just a fucking cliche thing to say. I hate it. I hate when people say that. It's like,
especially when Mr. Knight in the comics literally is a bit of a goof.
Yeah. It's such an uninteresting thing to say in a conversation. To me, when people say that, they just don't. I don't think they quite understand. Like, maybe they haven't read the character at all, but like there's a mixture of the comic in that character. It's like it's
100%. Yeah.
It's a little bit of a like, it's like 50-50, but like, again, you have to expect that with translation to TV. It's like they want to do something different with the character.
It's also this weird thing of, since when is character development bad? Because it's clear, unless the whole point, right? It's literally the Mr. Knight origin story. We're seeing how that version of Moon Knight comes to be, right? So why would he ever start off instantly, especially with this version of Stephen Grant?
Yeah, well, I mean,
he's literally only just found out all this stuff happens. Why would he instantly be that version of Mr. Knight? Like, if that was the case, people would trash the hell out of it, and rightly so, because it would be bad.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good entry. Like, it's an interesting. It's more of an interesting entry point versus already having experienced, Mr. Knight character. Like it's, but who knows what happens by the end of the season. I think people just sometimes, and I'm saying this respectfully, is like they prejudge things on maybe 40 minutes of real, like it's just,
I mean, people prejudge the show as it is, because they're like, oh, he better be ripping people's faces off. It's like Moon Knight's ripped one person's face off, and that was in like a heavy R-rated book, and he's never done it since. So
I think just people have an affection for certain versions of the character, and like if it's not represented correctly, they get upset. Okay, fine. I would say take the journey and see for yourself where this leads, and then go ahead and judge it. It's not gonna like they never promised a character that's gonna be ripping people's faces off. They said that they're not gonna. It's gonna be violent, but they never said it's gonna be ripping people's faces off. And I think that's just like.
And why would you want? Why would you want to see him tear someone's face up? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know. In the context of this show, I don't think it makes sense. It just doesn't make sense.
No, but this brings me round to something I've been like, the whole meme with the math symbols and they're trying to fit like from The Hangover and he's trying to calculate everything. I've been like that with how Jake Lockley's going to be a thing. Because we have the obvious, Mark Spector's very much almost one for one Mark Spector from what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, Stephen Grant has some changes. That's fair enough. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. But Jake Lockley is right there, and Oscar Isaac has literally just teased. Maybe he's playing more than 2 people. Obviously, he's going to be playing the 3. We know Jake Lockley's coming. There's no doubt in my mind he's in this season. 100%. There's been 2 for Stephen Grant. There's going to be 2 for Mark Spector. That leaves 2 for Jake Lockley. Right at the end. Do it. I'd honestly because I think it'd make a great contrast to the other 2. If Jake Lockley was a bit of a Homelander.
Yeah, I mean, it's an evolution of it. One character is kind of timid, the other one's rugged and knows what he's doing, and the Jake Lockley character could end up like that,
Make Jake Lockley the billionaire. That's why he has more of a modern suit, because it's what the modern hero looks like. Give him this self-righteous complex and have him be a bit of a psychopath. Do it that way. That way he can tear someone's face off and everyone can be happy.
I think that tells a lot about certain people when they want people's faces ripped off,
I never trust those people.
But I don't know, I would be interested to see what if Jake Lockley does come about, to see what his interpretation of the character would be.
I'm gonna be honest. You can drop the if the damn show. The credits. Credits tell us there's 3 of them in this series.
Okay. How about this? I look forward to his interpretation. His interpretation, but I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And then the only thing that is I'm cringing at is the Midnight Man thing, because of the actor.
Yeah,
dying.
because the guy. That's
gonna be a bit of a bummer, So how do you like the revelation?
See, he hasn't been in the show quickly yet, has he?
Not yet.
No. I assume it's.
I think he's coming up. He's coming up. Yeah, he's coming up. So do you like the? Yeah, fortunately, yes. So do you like the revelation in the revelation in the show about
old Arthur Harrow being the previous that? I have literally no attachment to Arthur Harrow in the slightest. I think even people that have read every Moon Knight have no attachment. The guy was in 1 issue for 6 pounds. There's no reason why anyone can complain about that.
Well,
it's a bit tropey. I was expecting it to be he's a bad version of Moon Knight sort of a thing. You're fighting the bad version yourself trope that every origin series always have, and I'm past that. It's still
just to let it goes in an interesting direction.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Is I don't expect to see Ethan Hawke in a purple Moon Knight suit.
Oh no.
I'm not expecting that in the slightest. I think that'd be a bit too much for this show. I think it's not too much, and I also don't think this is the type of show that would do that. It doesn't feel like it would go in that direction.
And plus, doesn't, as the character is being represented in the show, it doesn't feel like that character would do that.
No, he's like, look, I've been there, I've done that. I'm on some different shit now. Right.
He's also, just listen to the conversation he has with Stephen Grant, and it's he's basically like, I've been there, done that. You know, I know what he's saying to you right now. You know, he's telling you this, that. Is he saying this? You know, he already knows Khonshu. You know, he knows what his spiel is, basically. You know, his like, you know, like what he's telling, because he said it to everybody else. You know, it's basically saying that, you know, everything he's telling Steven and Mark, he's told to every avatar that, you know, it's like there's nothing new. You know, I mean, and like there's nothing new about the character of Khonshu being this way. He's used Mark Spector. It's not like a new revelation that the character is like using the character as a avatar, as basically a puppet, you know. But like I really enjoy just the conversations with just the three, you know, three characters. I don't mean, but like it's
the three personalities.
The Arthur, the Khonshu, and
I was meaning more Mark Spector, Steven, Arthur. Like.
Well, the whole shebang. You know, like I just love that scene where he's like, you know, I know what he's telling you. Is he saying this to you? You know.
Yeah. Like, you know, the word for word. It's like he's a broken record guy.
Yeah,
he's the same stuff.
I love the villain because he's one of the best. Like I love these types of villains where like they're not like, it's like they are committed to whatever it is that they're doing, you know, to the
committed
point where
and he's calm.
Yeah, that's the word. That's the other thing is like that's the unsettling part is like you don't see him raise his voice. You don't see him get like emotional. It's like it's just like a robot almost talking to you.
Yeah, and
like he is like that's how committed he is. He's like I know this doesn't bother me. This is just another thing. I'm gonna get what I want. It's just how I'm gonna get it is you know the question. You know and yeah, you know that's I love that. You know I love that part of the dynamic between them.
I also I still really like the portrayal of Khonshu. When you first find out that Steven's been kidnapped, which I'm going to circle back around to those people because
And it's not
like
out of the
it's the way like Khonshu acts, where he's he's like kill him, like he knows exactly what Harrow's going to say to him. He's like no, just break his windpipe right now because you can't hear this. Like no, like you are a detriment to everything Mark. I'm trying to get Mark to do here. Get the hell away, like, please.
Do you ever get to the feeling out of everything that Khonshu is kind of scared of what Arthur's going to tell him?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Like it's like he's almost like he's afraid that he's gonna basically sweet talk Mark into coming over to where he is, you know, and like that's
because he's already lost one avatar, right? Because to the same stuff, you know, so I've had to get Mark because of this guy's abandoned me and gone to Amit, so I need to keep hold. You know, he's got hold of Mark, and he knows that. He knows Mark's not gonna, at least at the minute, go against him. But when you have someone like a Stephen Grant in the same person, and possibly, I say possibly, and a Jake Lockley, you don't know how you can hold on to it. Like, it would be interesting if Jake Lockley comes out and goes with Amit, because then what happens?
Yeah, you know, like Khonshu does come off as a spoiled little brat. That's how I look at it.
Spoiled little brat with the voice of a 6-year-old, and I absolutely love it.
And I feel like he's losing the grip on Mark very quickly because like I think when you get to the point of like if you don't do it, I'm gonna get your wife to do it. So either you do. So it's almost like a passive aggressive threat, you know. It's like but like to me that says that Mark could be flipped at any point because it's like, you know, I owe Khonshu for bringing me back to life, but it's like he feels like he's a puppet more than anything else, you know. And it's like that type of mentality, especially with what's going on in their heads, you know, because they're fighting for dominance of like which personality is going to take over.
And that's the question: who was the original?
Very fragile. Yeah, it's a very fragile thing, and like from how I get out of this is like for Khonshu, it's like a whack-a-mole type of situation where he's, every time.
That is I think my favorite analogy for the relationship between these three and Khonshu. I think that is perfect.
It's because like for every time, so he's got a hold on Mark, but it's a very, very loose grip. But then you got Steven, where he's just like, Steven's at this point where he's just starting to believe in this, what's going on. And like, you got and like, he is 100% not doing what Khonshu wants, and like, and when you introduce the third personality, we don't know what's going to happen with that. We don't know how that personality is going to react, like, is he going to go along and be a good little soldier, or he's going to be, oh, I don't think I need this. Maybe if I get rid of Khonshu, and this
it's like, no, I'm with Amit. I got a point.
Right. But like, that's like it. I feel like the like Khonshu is more of like he's more scared of what Arthur is gonna say to Steven, because Steven's kind of if you look at it, and I'm not saying this and derogatory, but he's the weakest link in the chain, and like, and at this point,
at least out of the two that we know so far, against Jake, Steven's definitely the weak link.
And like I feel like at some point in the episode, he almost had him. It was just like, I think Arthur kind of said something a little crazier.
I think the kid point was the line. But I think that's where what I really liked about that scene is I got the sense that Arthur Harrow doesn't totally buy into Amit.
Yeah,
because when Steven's going off about like, oh, you enjoy that, do you? Do you enjoy that? Do you killing kids? Is that what you're all into? Like, Arthur has no comeback for that.
Yeah,
nothing. I mean, and this is the guy that is calm. He's collected. He talks like he has all the answers. At that point,
first crack.
Yeah, at that point, you can really see in his face. He's like, "No, I've had enough of this now."
Is he 100% committed to this cause?
Yeah,
it looks, he looks the part, but is he really like a good soldier? Like, when it gets down to it, do you think he would kill killing an older person? I mean, not to be ageist or anything like that. It's easier to do versus killing a kid. Like, if you had to do it,
you always
you could justify everything. In a way.
Well, you could more justify it. I mean, you can try. You can try. You might have better luck justifying it.
Well, I mean, in his headspace, it's probably easier to justify that versus killing an infant or a 2-year-old, or a 3-year-old,
like someone at the end of their life compared to the start. Like, that's.
I mean, there's an easy, snappy comeback for him for like when he talked about. I think he briefly talked about like that older lady, and it was like just like a passing thought.
Yeah, because he says like, I wish you could live to see it or something.
Yeah, and it's just a passing thought, but like, is that the case with if he's talking to a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old or 6-year-old or whatever? It's like, like maybe.
Can he look at literally a newborn, like just popped out? Like, could he do it?
Maybe that question gets answered in the show. Who knows? But like, it I think that conversation between Steven and him at that point kind of opened the gate to that conversation, or that situation a little bit more. And like, yeah, I mean, that was an interesting conversation because of up to that point, he was a kind of a unflappable person, like he didn't but he didn't get mad. He just didn't have an answer. He didn't have a quick
he's like, I haven't got time to think of an answer. Let's just it's gone this way. Let's just get down to it. I'm not going to win this argument.
Everybody talks about Oscar, which, God, he's great. He's great in the show, but like, I think people are not talking about Ethan Hawke more.
No, and it's weird because I was talking to Ami in the commentary about this. Which members, go watch the commentary or become a member. Go watch the commentary. I really appreciate that Arthur Harrow is part of the story.
Yeah.
It's not who's the villain. Oh, 2 episodes from the end. Hey, Admittedly, you can't really do that with Ethan Hawke and Arthur Harrow. Like, hey guys, look who I am. Like, no one would buy that. But I appreciate the complete flip that Arthur Harrow is part of the story. He's important to it. He's driving the plot. He's there.
Yeah.
He gets to act.
Yeah, he's not.
I think it's great.
It's not like he doesn't come off complacent, or I mean not complacent, but like
he's not phoning. He's not. I'm doing a superhero thing for the money. I even know I crapped on it.
Yeah.
So no, I actually genuinely.
I have an easy answer for that. It's like I think everybody says that stuff until they're given the opportunity to have stuff like this presented to them. You know.
Yeah.
Like
so when you get like a shallow surface level understanding of what the thing you're talking about is. So, it's just movies. You they're all cheesy kid stuff, and it's like, oh no, you can actually do something really good with this. Cool. Right.
Well, I mean, I'll say that with every person that has said that very sentence where they kind of dog any comic book movie. It's like, like I guarantee you that you present a piece of, something that you can read and get into, and I guarantee you those people kind of recoil back their conversation about like how comic book movies are ruining everything. It's like, I think until you get presented something like this, I think you always have like those actors or directors that are like hoity-toity type people. They kind of poo-poo on it, not knowing that like this is just as good as any gangster movie or any documentary or whatever, man. It's like it's how you present the property is a key to 100%. And like I think you can tell Ethan Hawke is invested in this character and invested in the show, because it's like he's a frightening I'm going to be honest with you. I think he's probably more frightening to any villain that's been represented in the MCU now, because it's like it's almost like a zealot, type character, like he has power, sure, but like I think it's the power of how he talks about himself. It feels like a culty type, and those are scary things to me, because it's like those are real things, like those are things that people can get sucked into really easy, and
Jared Leto in 30 Seconds to Mars.
I mean, and it's just like that. If you took away the actual physical superpower of that character, I think it would have been better, in my opinion. I think the only reason they do it is because it's part of the story. But like if they would have presented the character as just a very persuasive zealot, that is just a true believer in Ahmed, like I think that's scary.
I don't even class it that. I don't even class it that he has superpowers. It's only really just opening the door to the underworld.
Power persuasion. But I think it's the power of his the words he puts out, like that he says. That's I mean if you look at like these cult type figures in history, it's like the power of persuasion is far more scarier than a magical glove that can blip you away, in an instant. It's like that.
Yeah, I mean that's why Kilgrave and Jessica Jones
to me is more scarier. Like he. No, for sure. That's a really good example, because like, Kilgrave did have a power, sure, but like it was, he was a good, confident, if you take away the power that he had, like he had the power to like talk, and he had it's a very, I don't know if you've ever talked to a person that was so charming that you're like, I know this guy's talking about weird stuff, but it's like very interesting, and I really want to continue talking to him. I've had those conversations before and deep down inside, it was kind of scary, because I was like, am I going to end up a Scientologist or something by the end of the conversation? I don't know, because it's like this guy is presenting a lot of good points, and that's how I looked at the Arthur character, as like a very persuasive, charming guy, like but like then you add the whole, power that he has, it's like that's even more scary.
He also has two very specific characters that kidnap Stephen Grant. Which, if anyone's ever read the Lemire run, should recognize the names of those two characters. because they are like the orderlies in the mental home that he ends up in.
Yep.
Where he's at his old pyramids in New York and all this sort of stuff. So it's also very this. I say the stink of Jeff Lemire. The like the vibe of I suppose stink. No, I'm gonna say stink. No, not in a bad way. But like this show stinks of Jeff Lemire.
Yeah,
I'm convinced they're going there.
Yeah,
It's an interesting route to start off with for the origin story. I kind of get why they're doing it, but it's an interesting way to kickstart this character's career. If that happens.
they did it. I think, like, look, I love the character Moon Knight too, but like, I always get a kick out of people saying, "Oh yeah," when stuff like this comes out, like, "Oh yeah, Moon Knight was my favorite character." Okay, then name me a story that give me anything that tells me that you're. But like, I think the Lemire the Lemire run was kind of a standout, and that was why they picked a lot of that. They did the same thing with Hawkeye. Like they cherry picked a lot of the elements.
Yeah. So Moon Knight's kind of in the comics he's not necessarily. I'm going to say he's a bit of a Hawkeye, but not in the way
Yeah.
Not in an identical way, but it's just the way the character's been treated. They've never really known what to do with Moon Knight, like they have with Hawkeye. Like Hawkeye, he's been all over the place. Like Moon Knight never started off with the dissociative identity disorder. That was a Brian Michael Bendis thing from the ultimates of all things. Like Bendis solidified that in an alternate universe that kind of just leaked over to the 616. And I feel like it was only really Jeff Lemire that done something with that.
Interesting.
And questioned everything, like if this is the case, you don't know who he is, like which one is the real one, which one was the first one, or whatever.
Well,
how do you even know if he actually is? This is all just not in his head.
Well, I mean, the disassociation. God, can't
the DID.
DID has always been a part of the character. I mean, I don't.
But not always. It's a very recent thing. Because Stephen Grant and Jake Lockley were just aliases he used.
Well, that was in the 80s run too. They did have that. I think maybe Bendis kind of like made it a little bit more clear. Not cleared it up.
So Bendis was the one to just straight up come out and make it so he has a disorder.
Yeah. Well, like if you look at some of the older stuff, not like when he was introduced in the with the Werewolf by Night, it was just a mercenary. That was
just Mark Spector.
But then when you get into the 80s and 90s, it did have the hint because like the character, the personas were always there too. The Jake Lockley and the Mark Spector and the Stephen Grant characters were
but they were always aliases of Mark Spector. It was never a totally different person.
It was always hinted at, but never really said out loud.
Yeah.
But like Bendis did kind of like. I mean, I don't like praising Bendis all that much, but when he does,
because it's the worst thing with Bendis is he's done everything. Everything comes from Bendis. We have the MCU because of what Bendis done in the mid 2000s, and most of that stuff's awful.
Well, I mean, there was interesting stuff, and that's why it was cherry picked. But like, but I don't think he's. In my opinion, he hasn't really done anything. I think he's tried to replicate that in other areas, but it just wasn't, good.
Bendis struck gold in Miles and hasn't done anything since.
I was gonna say he blew his load around that time, and then after that, it was just blowing blanks, But like, he's been riding the coattail of those accomplishments,
Yeah.
But like, give him credit where credit's due, I guess. He did,
he single-handedly destroyed Scarlet Witch's character for 20 odd years, so credit where it's due,
It's true.
I'm not mad about it in the slightest, I promise.
Yeah.
No. I do give Bendis credit where it's due, because you can't.
Yeah, I mean, you can't give him credit for destroying other things, but I that's what I love about what they do with the MC, especially the TV shows recently. Is like they've been cherry picking certain the elements that work for the character, and just kind of taking away the elements that don't work for the character. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But I muted it, and then I unmuted it, and then I coughed. I was like, I don't know why I did that.
I try that all the time, and occasionally you forget you're still muted. You're like, oh crap.
But yeah. So, did you like the design of the Mr. Knight character?
I'm so glad you brought. I adore what they've done with that suit. It's one of those. It's like it's literally just a suit.
With
obviously there's
textures.
a ton of textures on it because it's just a white suit.
Yeah.
We've had Kingpin in a white suit and it's silky and it looks weird. It still looks great because it's Kingpin in the white
shiny
suit. But it's not a superhero suit. But this one is, and I adore it. I love as well how it exists, like the reason why he looks like that. Because the show doesn't tell you why it looks like that. You have to really kind of pay attention to what's going on. It's very tongue-in-cheek. It's like, summon the suit. The suit. Where's the suit? Bring out the suit. Get the suit, you idiot. It's like, it's literally just the suit. It's what his mind's thought of.
Yeah,
I really like that concept of it.
Yeah, it's like, I think you nailed it last time. It's Stephen Grant's interpretation of the suit.
Yeah.
What he thinks the suit would be like. And Mark
Spector has the Moon Knight look.
Yeah.
Because he was obviously around that sort of time and conscious, like, here, have my ceremonial armor. So he's got that impression in his head. Where Stephen Grant's like, oh, it's just a suit. Like, here you go, do it. And then fingers crossed, Jake Lockley has I'm gonna ride this train until this show says otherwise. Like, please just have the black and that just the black and white Moon Knight look. It's the modern, idealistic superhero look, like, please. Because I think that would look fantastic. Because
I think
what Mark Spector has is essentially that, and I think Feige's come out and said, taking that look but making it the more mummified was that inspiration for the at the minute. But so you can still just transition it in, and it would make even more sense of being the more modern take on that look. Like, it would be fun.
Yeah, and I think they took a little bit of inspiration from the Earth X to look. I don't know.
Yeah, because the Earth X look was all like really mummy and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I adore how it looks. I love the idea that you can just chop and change who's in charge at any given point, and it looks visually different. And you're never not gonna lose Moon Knight in a fight because of it. You're always gonna be able to tell who's in charge. The visual story of it.
It's like different.
Storytime is fantastic. I love it.
It's like different interpretations, like what they think is, and that's. I mean, I guess it's you could take it as like marketing, but
I mean, a cynic would absolutely be like, "Oh, the toys! Look at all the toys they can make." And I want all three of them. I want that little display of all these guys. It's so good.
When that Mr. Knight, Hot Toys is gonna be awesome, by the way.
It's 100%. 100%.
And it's gonna be great because, like, I don't know if anybody's ever had a Hot Toy with a suit. Like the John Wick one is like, it's phenomenal. Like, like the tailoring and stuff like that, and like, but it's gonna be great.
I can't wait for the day we have all three going off at once.
And do you like the mask? Like how it's kind of like
the only thing I don't like is the scene.
Yeah, I feel
like that. I don't like.
I think it's like a a symbol of the fractured psyche.
Yeah.
That's how
I can see that. I can see
how
that.
It's just interpreted. It's a little it's kind of like it's a little bit out of not left field, but it's like kind of like oh, okay, they're doing that, but like,
I say it makes it look a bit more mass murdery.
Yeah,
and it's weird for Stephen Grant. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I understand why you wouldn't have it just going straight down because it'd be weird.
Yeah.
But it's just something, because where it goes around the moon on his forehead and over the nose, it does then give this weird all over the head sort of vibe. But
Yeah.
if it's for like the fractured psyche, he's the second one, then no, fair enough. It's got a purpose of being there. I just didn't know how I felt about it straight away.
But
apart from that, it looks fantastic. It's a stunning suit.
Yeah.
It also made me laugh the first time we actually saw him, use a weapon. It's just Stephen Grant pulling the sticks out the back.
The sticks out, yeah.
It's just like, okay, you have to wait to see him pull the little crescent moon things off his chest. But oh no, Stephen Grant can pull the sticks out and be the first. Man. That's totally fun.
Yeah. It was fun. Like I love that whole scene with him fighting the jackal, and like
I liked how I really enjoyed how that scene was done, because you can play, because what I found interesting is when it's from the perspective of Steven, you see is it Layla?
The jackal, yeah.
Is it Layla? Like you see her in the
Layla.
fight, and she's part of it. But the second it flips to everyone picking up, oh, he's just a fancy drunk, she's not involved in it. And you don't
it's almost
see,
like a figment.
I feel like it's purposely there to make you question because obviously, he's the only one who can see the thing anyway, but she can, when it's covered in something, you can see that something's there. But when other people are looking at the fight, she's nowhere near to be involved in it. So is any of this really just happening? Is that show this show's my worst enemy, because I overthink the simplest of things, and when I get a show like this, I overthink it even more. So
funny you say that. The next episode you should find really interesting.
Because I found it interesting at the end, because I assume to jump right to the end.
Yeah.
I assume that is Stephen Grant in control. No, not Stephen Grant. Mark Spector.
Mark Spector, yeah.
Yeah. Because the way I'm assuming this show goes is you have the first 2 episodes of Stephen to give you the introduction. The middle act is Mark Spector, and then the third act is Jake Lockley. That's my understanding of the show. And why
3 personalities?
Yeah, 3 personalities. You can in 3 even split series of episode count. Also explains why the people that got the screeners didn't get all of it, and you only get the first. I'll say you only get the first 4. You get the first 4 episodes. Like, hey, we're keeping Jake back.
Yeah.
Even though the credits have the 3 faces, and then the posters have the 3 marks. Like, oh, okay,
marks.
there's obviously 3. Because if I was going to introduce Jake with how this show's gone, personally, having a massive twist of, is any of this real? Is it actually all in his head or not? Is the way to bring out Jake.
Yeah.
Because you can't have this whole, oh, is it real thing carry on for this character, because you have this weird questioning everything else. That, oh, if Moon Knight's in the Midnight Suns thing, then you're going to question is Midnight Suns even happening. So if you have the whole in his head bit, and then Jake comes out of that, and that is just the whole thing of Amit trying to get Moon Knight out of the equation. Oh, your mind's broken. Let's make you think you actually are crazy. And then this is all just get you out of the picture sort of thing. And then here's Jake Lockley. He was on my side. Now, I think that'd be an interesting direction to take it.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, though, like, there's certain aspects of this show, certain things in the comic that are inherently baked into the character. And if you look at, like, it's just like anything else. If you look into certain runs of the comic, you're gonna get an idea of where the show's going.
Yeah.
The next 2 episodes are pretty interesting. In
I say
terms of
the next 2 are the ones that had the people with all the screeners going off on one.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's the halfway point. I imagine it would have to pick up. Not that I found this show slow in the slightest, because I haven't, but it would have to pick up. And it sounds like it is going to pick up because people just describe it as like
because
Indiana
it has to go up a
Jones
notch too. It has to go up a notch. Like you can't. It has to escalate in some way. So
you have to give the people the action that they.
But yeah, it's But I mean, just that theory you had, keep in the back of your mind for a couple episodes. Just.
I mean, I'm not attached to it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I wholeheartedly trust the show to still do good, but
yeah. I mean, like I said, the next 2 episodes are pretty interesting, and it's intense too. Yeah, I think there was a scene in one of the trailers that was in episode 3 or 4. So, like I can't remember which trailer it was.
I say I don't think we've seen, because obviously we're in Egypt now. I don't think the trailers showed a lot of Egypt. I think the only real thing we got was the oh, here we go again, it's a laser beam coming out of something shot of the pyramid. I think that's the only thing we got. I can't remember.
Well, yeah, but I think there's a scene in the trailer that it doesn't include Egypt. So.
Oh no! Yes. Oh no! I forgot about that. Yeah. Don't worry,
I'll let you guys in the audience, to decipher what that is.
I totally forgot about that show. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
But I mean, you see what I'm saying, right? Like.
Oh yeah.
There's in there, but this show is touting to be one of my favorites so far.
Yeah, it's these first 2 episodes have made a very strong case for themselves. Yeah. And if we get a solid landing, not that I think these shows have really fumbled the landing. Loki was a fantastic finale.
Yeah.
WandaVision, the end half I loved. Beginning half I thought it kind of fumbled it a little bit. Falcon just suffered a lot from cutting out half the plot.
Reshooting and cutting.
Yeah, I don't hold it against that show in the slightest because it's not exactly his fault. Hawkeye's really good. The only problem with that is it was can we not do this villain reveal thing anymore? If Hawkeye had come quicker, it would have had a much stronger.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think they held off a little too long on reveal. I think not to go back
even the reveal, like the whole Kingpin thing would have been fine. I think if Eleanor did some stuff before.
I don't mind the video footage reveal. I think that could have been pushed up a little bit further up the episode. But I think they did what they did for a reason, so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously a reason behind it. I'm not privy to that, but it's not even that it was bad. It's just I think wrong place, wrong time for that sort of.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been. What was I don't know, but like but so far this show has been pretty consistently from 1 to 2 so far. I haven't had any.
Oh yeah. It's definitely the strongest opening I think out of all of them. And if it can continue this, it's going to definitely land at the top.
Yeah.
Which is saying something because I still really love WandaVision. That show that's a
special place in your heart, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Lizzie.
Hard thing to knock off that pedestal for me, but
yeah. Oh, yeah. Can you wait to see her again? Huh?
I mean, if what I think is going to happen, I can definitely wait. I can definitely wait. Yeah, I mean, I'll be a mess for the rest of my life, but I'll pull through. It'll be fun.
She'll be okay.
I think. Don't lie to be sure. She won't.
This is a video for another day, I guess.
I've got a month. I need to mentally.
Your therapy session episode. We just pull in
If
therapy.
someone shows up on this show, it sounds like me, acts slightly different. Just know that I have been cracked in half, and it is my version of Moon Knight's origin story that's happened.
We might have an episode of just having a group therapy session for Mitch, or we pull.
Yeah, and whoever else decides to show up out my brain, yeah. No, I'm really looking forward to where this goes. I think.
Yeah,
I like the fact that Moon Knight's come out swinging, and it's exactly what it should be. They haven't held back on any of it.
Yeah, I mean they've revealed a lot in the first episodes.
Yeah, they have. Yeah,
more than any other show that they put out. It's a fresh welcome. Because I love. I mean, I might be in the minority, but I love WandaVision from A to Z. I love the slow burn. I love slow burns in general because it's like it keeps me on my seat and on my edge. I don't want, but this kind of lends itself to more of it's in your face type. We're not gonna. I mean, in the first episode, if it's any indication of that, they just gave you what the suit looks like. They've never done that in any other show. They just said, all right, well, he'll get it, in the last few episodes. You're gonna have to wait, a month.
I also found it really interesting that the trailers had reversed the shots.
Yeah.
I can't remember a shot from Marvel anything that's done that.
Yeah.
Where it's literally been played backwards. And it's interesting because the way it plays forwards, I assume it was purposely CGI'd to look like the suit was coming on him, not coming off.
Yeah.
Because if you tend to reverse stuff, it just looks wrong.
Wrong, yeah.
If you draw on a face and you turn it upside down, it's gonna look horrendous. You're gonna notice every mistake you ever bloody made on that thing. And I imagine it's obviously the same thing when you play stuff backwards. So I assume it's not literally just a reversed or flipped. It's they've CGI'd it to be that backwards way. Yeah. But I don't know. It really stood out to me that because I can't pinpoint or even they must have done it at some point. I imagine. I just can't think of a shot that's flipped literally. Obviously, you had the fake shots like Infinity War, the infamous one.
Yeah.
But
the running scene.
That reached out because it legit took me out the show for a second. I was like, hold on a minute, that's backwards.
I don't know. I'm not sure why they did that, but it worked. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a ding or anything. It's just something only I notice and talk about because I find it interesting how they go about everything. But, also, just to end it off, I really appreciate I like the homage to the Werewolf by Night Moon Knight introduction with the rooftop run. I really like that. Obviously, it's not Jack Russell. It's the Scooby-Doo Jackal, which not a knock on the CGI. The CGI is fine. It's just purely design.
Did you catch the QRC code? In the episode?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
That was why a lot of people went in full direction of. I think there's recently a Funko Pop with Werewolf by Night or something like that. I don't know.
I think so. I mean, people with Werewolf by Night anyway from that first initial teaser where he's punching the thing in the toilet.
Yeah.
The bathroom. But I can understand why, but it's like, why would you introduce Werewolf by Night and have him be beat into a bloody pulp straight away?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been. I mean, I think a lot of people might have thought it's a werewolf, and that was the.
Yeah. Which, fair enough. Moon Knight, when he first started, was a werewolf hunter, hence the silver in the suit, because werewolves.
Yeah.
Get it?
But I think the show is kind of more of a different. I think that's just paying homage to it. Who knows? Maybe Jack Russell shows up. Who knows? I don't know.
I say, I personally, I wouldn't be shocked if Jack Russell's in the end.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, he shows up. He's just one of the characters. Like, maybe he's not Jack Russell yet, or obviously he's going to be Jack Russell. That's the guy's name, but he's not going to be like a werewolf just yet. Right.
Or maybe a certain vampire hunter shows up at the end of this episode. I don't know. Like it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
I mean,
would you be upset if this was the first introduction to Mahershala Ali's costume? I'm just going to begin this conversation by saying this is not.
I was more
thinking.
I was more thinking, are we just piecing Blade together throughout the thing? It's like,
no
cool, we've had his voice. Like, we've been introduced to the character because the man's a spoke already. Like, is Moon Knight then, hey, here's the back of his head, and then the next thing is the front, like, or the side shot. Like, we're slowly piecing together, like, Blade as a character.
Again, this is not a confirmation of anything. It's just a question. But would you be like, oh, this is a waste, or would you?
I mean, it depends. If it's just an off-screen ADR, yes, I'll be very mad.
I don't think they're gonna do that again.
Get away with it once.
I don't think they're gonna do that again, man.
It depends how it's handled, right? If there's a reason for him to be there, sure.
I mean,
but right now, I think.
Well, I mean, like, I'm not saying he's a part of the story. I'm saying, like, hey, this is a hint that there's a bigger part, bigger world out there type thing, like very end Stinger, like he pulls up in his Dodge Charger, rolls down his window and says, "Hey, man, what's up?"
It's like Mark, Stephen, Jake, who am I talking to? Like, which one is it?
Hey guys, you want to hop in? There's a werewolf in the back. No.
I know. I personally, if it hypothetically, if it showed up and it's handled well, fine. I ain't gonna complain about it. At the minute with these 2 episodes and how the only reference to anything is when this takes place is on a bus and there's been nothing else. No, I'm enjoying the not being bogged down by anything else. I like the fact that the focus is on Moon Knight and nothing else.
I 100% agree. I think if any character gets revealed at the end, it would be more of a Jack Russell character because they have a connection.
Yeah, because I'll say he's in his show or the Halloween special also out this year.
And again, this is not a confirmation at the end of this season that I'm not confirming anything. I'm just saying this would be a great opportunity to do so if that was the case.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, if Jack Russell is cool, like I appreciate the reference to the flipped first appearances, but
yeah. Plus, cool. I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little off my mythology, but they do. I mean, they do have a connection. I don't know if they have a connection in an Egypt way, Egyptian way, but I mean. We'll see how.
No, because the whole Egypt, just going back to that, how Moon Knight's changed over the years. Moon Knight wasn't Egyptian related at all at the start. It was Moon Knight. He was just werewolves.
He was just a bounty hunter.
Yeah,
that was hired by I forgot what group, but it was just.
I can't remember who it was.
He intended to.
What are you saying?
I mean, he basically was intended to be a no-name character that was just going to show up and hunt Jack Russell.
It's just cool. Well, werewolves, Moon Knight, Silver. Cool. There you go. Done. This is like it's like actually let's make him Egyptian. Well, not quite Egyptian, but it's all.
I had a conversation with somebody the other day about the Batman dynamic of this guy and of Moon Knight, and I'm like, I still can't get over the people where people are still comparing this character to.
No, because Moon Knight it always makes me laugh when people compare him. Like, oh, it's just Marvel's Batman. It's like, no. If you want Marvel's Batman, watch Daredevil. That's like Marvel's Batman. Like, he's a guy in a cape. It means nothing.
Yeah. Well, I think why people do it is like the millionaire gadgets.
And even then it's like it's only Steve Grant. That's the millionaire.
But it's like a very peripheral comparison,
he's a millionaire for convenience of here's all the gadgets, there's no nothing else.
when they had the moon copter and all that, I think that's where all the comparisons started picking up more. In
I can't lie, I kind of want that stuff to show up at some point.
I would love it too, man. I don't think you're gonna get it.
No,
but
like, it's
like
just
at this point,
like it'd be personally, I'd find it really fun if something happens in this season, and Jake Lockley is the one to get them out of Europe because they're on the run or something, and they settle in New York. He's got all this money from somewhere, and he just then becomes that stereotypical superhero. I've got money. Here's a moon plane. Here's a moon this. Here's a moon that. And then the others are like completely oblivious to it, going like, "What the hell is this?" Like, we're not going to use this crap. Like, or like Jake just keeps it a secret from the other two. I think that'd be fantastic. It'd be so fun.
Yeah, I mean, but like, so like when people bring that comparison up, I start questioning whether they actually read comics before, because like it's like on the surface. I mean, even if you look at it on the surface,
I mean, even on the surface, there's nothing
very minute.
So different.
It's just there's a cape and there's gadgets, and like recently, I'd say in the last 5 years, he hasn't used any gadgets. Like there hasn't been a moon plane, there hasn't been a moon copter.
No, they've really separated from that, haven't they? They've really got away from that. Yeah.
But like I find, and I'm not just saying this because I work for the company, but like I always found the Moon Knight character a little bit more complex and interesting than Batman.
Yeah,
Batman
I'm with you on that one. Yeah.
Because like Batman is like, he is a sociopath, but he doesn't see that he's a sociopath. Everybody around him doesn't see that he's a sociopath. But like people recognize that Moon Knight is a
yeah, no one likes it when Moon Knight shows up.
Yeah, I mean, like if you read like,
it's like, oh no,
not necessarily in the West Coast Avengers run, but like if you any other run in recent runs, it's like anytime Moon Knight shows up, people get creeped out. Like because like he's almost known as like, I don't know what guy I'm talking to at this point. Like, am I talking to and like he talks like a crazy, like, I don't want to say crazy person, but he talks.
Mark Spector is psychotic.
Yeah,
he is an absolute nutcase.
I mean, he's a mercenary.
He is one of those where it's also. This is why I like the fact that Mr. Knight exists now. There was never a visual indicator of who you were talking to in the Moon Knight suit.
Yeah,
it's like it could literally be any one of them, and you don't know which one's which. You don't know when it's gonna pop off. Like, it was always, it's gotta be awkward. It's gotta be horrible.
Yeah, because you don't know who you're talking to, and like, but at least at this point, like if Mr. Knight shows up, you're like, okay, I get it. It's
And even then, at the minute, Mr. Knight's more of that like gumshoe detective.
Yeah,
he's that calm, methodical. He will figure stuff out. He has a bit of a dark sense of humor, which is why I don't get the criticisms of Mr. Knight being a bit of a goof in this. It's like he's clearly going to build towards that. Like, character development isn't bad. Can we stop treating it like it's bad?
So yeah, and like it goes back to what you were saying of getting your cake and eating it too, because you're getting the Mark Spector that's already in the game, so to speak, and like he's weathered, he knows what he's doing, but like then you get the Stephen Grant character, which is like he's your entry point if you had one, and like.
And let's be honest, if you're gonna change any one of them, it was gonna be the billionaire, like playboy. Yeah. He's another Tony Stark sort of a situation.
Yeah,
you changed that one to make.
I mean, you can even say he's like. I mean, Danny Rand's a millionaire that fights crime.
Yeah.
Like, but like, I don't know, man. Like, I always felt like Moon Knight is a very different character because of like the personality, the different personalities that you're talking to. It's like no other character that I've like as I know of does that in the comics, and like
no, there's no one quite like Moon Knight.
Yeah, and that's what I love. He's like he's almost, and like he was portrayed pretty good in the cartoon for Spider-Man too, because it was just like A little bit. You're like, nope.
It's a definite cartoon version of Moon.
Yeah.
I always found that weird. Like, why is Moon Knight in this like Spider-Man kids cartoon? Like,
Very, very dark
this guy
character.
doesn't belong here. Get him out.
This is a character is like an associated with like I mean, ripping people's faces off, ripping a person's face off, or beating someone with spiked, wraps.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Moon Knight's always the one you can tell that no one's ever read, because everyone's thought the whole Dracula money nerd meme was a legit thing from Moon Knight. It's like, no, that's just a meme that got out of hand.
Yeah. Like, I would say that Moon Knight's a better version of Deadpool. Like I hate Deadpool.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. The way Steven acts as Mr. Knight is like, you know what? That's a better Deadpool. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like it's got everything without breaking the fourth wall, because like I hate, I don't know. We'll see. But
I will say one thing actually before we end it off, because I think it's just gone over an hour. There was a weird choice in the Mr. Knight scene where when they're swapping control, he doesn't have the mask on, and neither does Steven. Or neither does Mark. I'm going to get these guys confused, and I shouldn't. Like, Mark and Steven don't have the mask on, but they do. You know they do, because you literally see the shot before. And I can kind of get what they're going for, but I find it was a weird choice.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing I found.
I would chalk it up to like, I want to see Oscar Isaac's face.
I assume that's what it is. You get, it's probably more so like you can see that they're swapping, despite the fact that they're swapping because the suit changes. But
just and one other
it was whatever. It was, I'm not even going to point out the freeze frame. That was really
awkward.
I legit thought my TV froze for a second. It's only when watching it again for the audio commentary I was like, okay, this is supposed to be here. But that was people pointing at that for being like weird, but why is this mask on?
One quick thing before we're done. Like, I love the glowing eyes thing.
Yes, I adore it.
I love that. I always felt like that was appropriate for the character. And
well, it's one of those where I never considered Moon Knight's eyes to glow in the comics. I don't know why. I never. I would never have had that as a design thing for the character. I would just gone with like white lenses.
Lenses, yeah.
With the whole more supernatural side that this is giving him, which personally for me is a very welcome addition to character. It makes perfect sense. Like, why wouldn't his eyes glow? It makes him look creepy. It makes him look supernatural. Do it.
Yeah.
But no one else's eye. Well, that's a lie. Scarlet Witch's eyes glow. Thor's eyes glow. Captain Marvel's eyes glow. But they're never a constant in the suit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's always when their powers are being activated, or they're about to use their powers or something like that. I love the fact that it's just, as long as the mask is on, like, the eyes are glowing, and like very. I think, and
they're animated as well. At least Stevens are. Like, you had that weird like Spider-Man Deadpool look, and I was like, yes, I like that.
I don't think that the Mark version is gonna was like that, but it's more in tune with the Mr. Knight character, anyways. I think.
I thought Mark's did it a little bit. But it's more like a scowl, not a scowl.
I know what you're talking about. Like a
like, you can tell the eyes squint.
Like he's
like
making
a scowl
a
and a squint. Yeah, like you can tell
like
the guys.
But FYI, the Hot Toys one, I love it because the eyes light up. So
I'm dreading these Hot Toys releases because it completely goes against my rule of you get one of each.
now you can't.
Because but it is one of each. If I have to have all three. Like, why? The only thing I don't like is the moon with the base. I don't. It's a nice addition. It's not for me. Get rid of it.
I didn't see that when I first saw it a couple months ago. It was like it was a newer addition to this.
Yeah.
But
it's just
it is what it is.
Why is it there? It's weird.
It's branding, you know.
But no one else had. Like, you don't have an arc reactor with Iron Man. Like, what's going on? It's weird.
I'll take it.
It's
Give me more.
Also, I'll be honest. Before I even think of getting it, I need to see that cape do the moon pose. Because if it can't do it, I ain't getting it.
It's wired for sure. So I don't know. I mean, you're gonna have to. The best thing about those toys or those figures is like you can now see the detail, the level of detail in the suit. You know, like when you're watching a TV show, you don't really get the full aspect of how detailed that suit really is.
Yeah, but then this gives you a proper good look at it.
Yeah, that's what I love about these figures. Are like they give you that it gives you a really good look of how detailed these suits really are. You don't get to appreciate that in the show as much because it's like always in motion or it's a CGI effect or something like that.
Yeah, thankfully the Hot Toys problem's a year and a half away at least without delays, so I can. Yeah. That's a future me's problem to worry about. Right now, current me is golden. But,
oh man, yeah, there's a lot of future problems with that.
Oh, there's a no.
That classic Loki, bro. The classic Loki. I'm 100% again.
Yeah, I legitimately struggled to not pre-order that for Alligator Loki alone. I had to physically slap myself out of it. It's like, really? No, you're being an idiot. No, do not buy a damn tiny alligator. Don't do it.
I need a mini Richard Grant in my collection.
I can't blame you, but alligator Loki's like right there, man.
If you ask my wife, I'm just a hoarder when it comes to this, so I had to have.
I agree. Yeah, you
everything.
You are. Yeah.
I'm a hoarder, so.
Tell her if she wants Gunner stuff. I'm right here.
It's in ring.
If
I die, you're gonna get it anyway. So like.
That's a blessing and a curse. Cause like, thanks, Sean. What the fuck now am I going to do with all this?
I guess Jared's
literally my entire house.
Jared up to
Hot Toys. But anyway, that's a wild tangent off on that. But so you got over an hour for this one, and we'll catch you all next week for hopefully what I imagine looks to be some Indiana Jonesy Moon Knight stuff. So I look forward to
Spectre goodness.
And poor Stephen Grant's trapped; he can't move. Which we'll talk about that. I assume they're going to talk more about that next week with how it's like on the inside, and I appreciate that. I will appreciate they go into that because it's an interesting topic to talk about. So yeah, we'll catch you all next week. So bye bye.